The old maintenance vessel shuddered as it pulled alongside the massive battleship. Even from the worn captain's chair, James Miller could feel the vibrations running through the U.S. Firefly's hull. He'd gotten used to those tremors over the years. They were just another quirk of his aging ship, like the flickering lights in the mess hall or the temperamental air recyclers on Deck 3. "Docking procedure initiated, Captain," reported Susan from the helm, her fingers dancing across the controls with practiced ease. After 5 years of flying this old bucket, she could probably dock it in her sleep. Through the bridge viewport, James watched as their ship's docking arm extended toward the U.S. Thunder, pride of the United Earth Fleet. The Thunder's sleek hull gleamed in the starlight, its weapon arrays and defense systems a testament to humanity's military might. Next to it, the Firefly looked like what it was, a cobbled-together support vessel that had somehow survived 20 years past its intended decommission date. "Incoming transmission from the Thunder, sir," called out Mike from the communications station. There was a slight edge to his voice that James recognized. They all knew what was coming. "Put it through," James ordered, straightening in his chair. The crew around him tensed, preparing themselves. The smirking face of Commander Richards appeared on the main screen. "Well, if it isn't the garbage scow. Come to deliver our supplies, Miller." James kept his expression neutral. "That's correct, Commander. We have your replacement parts and maintenance supplies as requested. Try not to scratch our paint with that junk heap of yours," Richards laughed. "Though I suppose a few more scuff marks wouldn't make the Firefly look any worse than it already does." Several of the bridge crew bristled at the insult, but James maintained his professional demeanor. "We'll be careful, Commander. Firefly out." He nodded to Mike, who cut the transmission with perhaps a bit more force than necessary. "One of these days," Susan muttered from the helm, "I'd love to show him what this garbage scow can do." James smiled slightly. His crew might serve on the fleet's least prestigious vessel, but they were some of the best he'd ever worked with. They had to be. Keeping the Firefly running required more skill and ingenuity than manning any of the fleet's modern warships. "Engineering to bridge." Tom Walker's voice crackled through the comm system. "Captain, we're getting some unusual readings from the power core again." "Define unusual, Tom," James replied, concerned. The Firefly's core was a unique piece of work, the result of countless modifications and repairs over the years. Sometimes James thought it stayed running through sheer stubbornness. The efficiency ratings are fluctuating, but they're actually higher than they should be. Way higher. It's like the core is drawing power from somewhere else, but I can't figure out the source. Before James could respond, a new alarm started blaring. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Mike announced, his hands flying over his console. "Reading 5. No, 7 unknown vessels. Large energy signatures." James leaned forward in his chair. "Show me." The main screen lit up with the sensor display. 7 massive ships had appeared at the edge of the system, their designs unlike anything in human records. As they watched, more vessels continued to emerge from FTL. "They're not responding to hails," Mike reported tensely. "Wait. Incoming transmission, all frequencies." A deep, resonant voice filled the bridge. "Attention, human vessels. You have been found wanting. Your technology is primitive, your defenses inadequate. Surrender now, and you may be permitted to serve the Dominion." James watched as the Thunder's weapon systems came online, its massive hull turning to face the threat. Around them, other fleet vessels began moving into defensive positions. The Firefly, still attached to the Thunder by its docking arm, was caught in the middle. "Sir," Tom's voice came through again, more urgent now. "The power core. It's reacting to something from those ships. The energy patterns are going crazy. Get us loose from the Thunder," James ordered Susan. "But stay close. We might need to help with evacuations if this goes bad." He knew the Firefly's role in combat. They weren't meant to fight, but to save lives where they could. The alien vessels opened fire. Streams of eerily beautiful energy weapons lashed out at the human fleet. The Thunder's shields flared as they took multiple hits but held. Other ships weren't so lucky. "The Ross is in trouble," Susan reported. "Direct hit to their engines. They're losing power." "Take us in," James commanded. "Prepare for emergency transport of their crew." As they maneuvered toward the stricken vessel, one of the alien energy beams struck the Firefly's port side. James braced for destruction. Their shields were decades out of date, barely able to stop micrometeors, let alone advanced weapons. But destruction didn't come. Instead, the ship shuddered, and every display on the bridge lit up with unprecedented energy readings. In engineering, Tom was shouting something about power levels that shouldn't be possible. "What just happened?" James demanded. "Sir," Tom's voice was filled with disbelief. "The core. It absorbed the energy from that weapon. Completely absorbed it. And it's integrating the pattern somehow. I've never seen anything like it." James stared at the redouts, then at the alien ships continuing their assault on the fleet. A crazy idea began forming in his mind. "Tom, can you figure out exactly how the core did that? And if it could do it again?" "Already working on it, Captain. But you need to see these readings. Our jury-rigged systems, all those modifications we've made over the years, they've accidentally created something new, something that might just give us a chance." As the battle raged around them, the crew of the Firefly began to realize that their old patched-together ship, the one everyone mocked as the weakest in the fleet, might be hiding capabilities that no one, not even they, had imagined. The garbage SCO was about to prove its worth, and James Miller had a feeling that Commander Richards would soon be eating his words. Looking at his crew's determined faces, James allowed himself a small smile. Sometimes the best weapons were the ones that no one saw coming, even if they looked like they belonged in a scrapyard. The bridge of the U.S. Firefleet erupted in chaos as more alien vessels emerged from FTL. The ship's outdated sensors struggled to keep track of the mounting threats, their displays flickering with each new arrival. James Miller gripped his captain's chair tightly, watching as the pride of the human fleet engaged the mysterious Dominion forces. "The Thunder's shields are failing," Mike called out from his station. Through the viewport, they could see the massive battleship's defensive barriers flickering under the relentless alien assault. The energy weapons that had been absorbed by the Firefly's core continued to tear through the fleet's most advanced vessels like paper. Tom's voice crackled through the comm system, heavy with excitement and disbelief. "Captain, you need to see this. The core isn't just absorbing the energy, it's learning from it. Every hit we take, our systems adapt a little more. It's like we've built some kind of technological immune system by accident." A massive explosion rocked the ship as the U.S. Ross, already crippled, finally succumbed to the Dominion's attack. Susan's hands flew across her console, keeping the Firefly steady as debris scattered across their path. "We've got escape pods launching from the Ross, Captain. Get our tractor beam on them," James ordered. He turned to Mike. "Signal the Thunder. Tell them we're collecting survivors and request cover fire." The response came quickly, but not from Commander Richards. "Thunder's bridge is hit," a panicked voice announced. "Multiple hull breaches. We're abandoning ship." James watched in horror as the fleet's flagship began to break apart under the Dominion assault. The mighty Thunder, with all its advanced technology and superior firepower, was being torn to pieces by weapons it couldn't counter. "Sir," Tom called again, "I think I know why our ship survived that hit. All these years of repairs, replacing parts with whatever we could find, we've accidentally created something unique. The power core's not just a jumble of mismatched technology anymore. It's evolving." Another blast rocked the ship, but this time James was ready. "Susan, take us between the Thunder and that alien cruiser." "Tom, what happens if we intentionally let them hit us?" There was a pause on the line. "Theory suggests we absorb more of their weapon's energy signature. But Captain, if I'm wrong?" "We're dead anyway," James finished. "Better to try something than sit here and watch our fleet get picked apart." He opened a channel to the whole ship. All hands, brace for impact. This is either going to be really clever or really stupid. The Firefly moved into position, its patched hull gleaming dully in the light of weapons fire. The alien vessel, perhaps confused by such seemingly suicidal tactics, directed a full broadside at the small support ship. The impact was tremendous. Every light on the bridge flickered, and for a moment James thought they'd made a terrible mistake. Then the readings started coming in. Power levels rising. Tom shouted, his voice filled with amazement. The core it's not just absorbing the energy anymore. It's replicating it. We've got weapons-grade power signatures forming in our auxiliary systems. James leaned forward. Can we return fire? Not exactly, Tom replied. But I think we can do something better. Give me 2 minutes to reconfigure the maintenance beam array. We might be able to turn their own energy signature back on them. As Tom worked, the rest of the fleet continued to fall back under the relentless Dominion assault. The Firefly's bridge crew watched helplessly as more ships were damaged or destroyed. Commander Richard's escape pod tumbled past their viewport, and Susan wordlessly adjusted course to collect it with the others they'd gathered. Ready, Tom announced. I've rerouted everything through the maintenance array. It won't be pretty, but it should work. Just don't ask me to explain how. I'm not entirely sure myself. James nodded grimly. Target that cruiser and let's see what happens. The Firefly's maintenance beam, designed for minor hull repairs and supply transfers, lit up with the same otherworldly energy that had been devastating the human fleet. When it struck the alien vessel, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The Dominion ship's shields, which had shrugged off the fleet's most powerful weapons, collapsed instantly. It worked. Tom's laughter echoed through the comm. Their defenses aren't programmed to stop their own energy patterns. We're basically giving their shields a paradox to solve. James allowed himself a small smile. Signal the remaining fleet vessels. Tell them to concentrate fire on any ship we manage to strip the shields from. He turned to Susan. Think you can dance us through their formation? Susan's hands were already moving across her console. They're big and powerful, sir, but they're not very agile. This old girl might not look like much, but she can run circles around them. For the next 20 minutes, the Firefly darted between Dominion vessels, its jury-rigged systems turning their own weapon signatures against them. One by one, alien shields failed, allowing the remaining human ships to score telling hits. The massive invaders, caught off guard by this unexpected resistance, began to fall back. They're retreating, Mike announced as the last Dominion ships jumped to FTL. The bridge crew cheered, but James kept his eyes on the tactical display. The victory, while significant, had come at a terrible cost. Half the human fleet lay in ruins, including its flagship. Commander Richard's voice came through the comm, subdued and lacking its usual arrogance. Captain Miller, I don't pretend to understand what your ship just did, but you saved a lot of lives today, including mine. Just doing our job, Commander, James replied. That's what support vessels are for. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. Let's get these escape pods to safety. Then I want to know everything about what just happened with our systems. As the Firefly moved to collect more survivors, James reflected on the irony of the situation. Their ship, long mocked as the fleet's weakest link, had proved to be its most effective weapon. Not because of superior technology or overwhelming firepower, but because of its crude, adaptable nature, the very thing that had made it an object of ridicule. Engineering to bridge, Tom called. Captain, you should know, whatever we accidentally created here, it's still evolving. The core's energy patterns are continuing to adapt. I think we might have only scratched the surface of what this ship can do. James looked around his bridge, at the flickering displays, and patched together systems that had just helped save humanity from its first alien encounter. Well, he said quietly, isn't that interesting? Hidden within the dust and ice of the asteroid belt, The U.S. Firefly drifted silently. Inside the ship's dimly lit engineering bay, Tom Walker stared at his console with bleary eyes. He hadn't slept in nearly 30 hours, too fascinated by the readings from their modified power core to even think about rest. "You need to see this," he muttered to himself, making another note in his already overstuffed datapad. Around him, the core hummed with an energy signature that shouldn't have been possible for such an old vessel. The engineering bay doors slid open with their usual creak, and Captain James Miller walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Tom, who accepted it gratefully. "Tell me you found something worth missing sleep over," James said, leaning against a workstation. Tom took a long sip of coffee and nodded eagerly. "Remember how we used to joke that this ship was held together by duct tape and prayers? Turns out we were half right. But instead of prayers, it's quantum mechanics." He pulled up a holographic display showing the Firefly's internal systems. "Look at this. Every time we repaired the ship, we used whatever parts we could find. Different technologies, different generations of equipment, even some experimental stuff that never made it into mass production. Normal ships can't work that way. Incompatible systems cause interference, power losses, cascading failures. But the Firefly works just fine," James noted. "Most of the time, anyway." "That's just it," Tom exclaimed. "It shouldn't work at all. But all those mismatched parts created something new. The power fluctuations we've been seeing for years. That was the system learning, adapting, finding ways to make incompatible technologies work together. When the Dominion hit us with their weapons, it was just one more piece of foreign technology for the ship to integrate." The captain frowned thoughtfully. "You're saying our ship taught itself how to use alien weapons? Better than that." Tom brought up another display, this one showing energy patterns from the recent battle. "The core doesn't just copy their technology, it understands it. Every modification we've made over the years created new quantum pathways. The whole ship has become one giant adaptive matrix." A new voice joined the conversation. Like a technological immune system, Anna Reed, the ship's science officer, walked in carrying her own datapad. "I've been analyzing Tom's findings. The quantum interactions between our mismatched systems created something similar to biological adaptation. The more different technologies the ship encounters, the better it gets at integrating them." James looked between his 2 officers. "And you're sure about this?" Anna nodded. "I've run the simulations a dozen times. What we've accidentally built here, it's revolutionary. Traditional ships are designed to be perfect and unchanging. The Firefly adapts because it has to. It's the only way all these different systems could work together." "Captain to the bridge," Susan's voice came through the comm. "We're picking up some strange readings from the outer edge of the asteroid field." James straightened. "On my way." He turned to Tom and Anna. "Keep working on understanding our new capabilities. I have a feeling we're going to need them soon." On the bridge, Susan's hands moved carefully over her console, adjusting their position among the asteroids. "The readings are getting stronger, sir. Whatever it is, it's big." "Show me," James ordered. The main screen displayed a massive energy signature moving through the asteroid field. As they watched, it resolved into a familiar and unwelcome shape. "A Dominion warship. They're searching for us," Mike said from his station. "This is the 3rd patrol we've detected this week. They're not giving up." James studied the tactical display. The Dominion ship was powerful, but it moved with obvious difficulty through the dense asteroid field. The Firefly, smaller and more maneuverable, had a clear advantage in this environment. "Tom," he called through the comm, "what's the status of our adaptations?" "Better than ever, Captain," Tom replied excitedly. "The core's been integrating that weapons data we absorbed. Anna thinks we might be able to do more than just copy their energy signatures now. We might be able to improve on them." James raised an eyebrow. "Improve how?" "Their weapons are powerful but inflexible," Anna cut in. "They're designed to overwhelm any normal defense. But our system is learning their patterns, finding weaknesses. We might be able to create variations they're not prepared for. The captain considered this information, watching the Dominion ship's slow progress through the asteroid field. An idea began to form, dangerous, but potentially game-changing. How much of their technology do you think we could absorb before the core reaches its limit? He asked. There was a pause before Tom answered. Theoretically, there might not be a limit. The more we absorb, the more the system evolves to handle it. Why do you ask? James smiled grimly. Because that patrol ship out there is going to help us test your theory. Susan, plot an intercept course. Mike, send word to Fleet Command. Tell them we're about to get them some very useful intelligence on Dominion technology. The bridge crew exchanged excited looks. They all knew what their captain was thinking. The Firefly's unique abilities made it the perfect ship for this kind of mission. Where other vessels would be destroyed by close contact with superior Dominion technology, they could learn from it, adapt to it, and potentially even master it. Course plotted, sir, Susan reported. We can use these larger asteroids for cover until we're in position. Tom, Anna, James called, get ready to record everything. If this works, we'll know more about Dominion technology than anyone else in the fleet. He settled into his captain's chair, feeling the familiar vibration of the ship's engines. Let's go show them what the fleet's weakest ship can really do. As the Firefly moved silently through the asteroid field, its systems hummed with possibility. The ship that had been cobbled together from spare parts and obsolete technology was about to become humanity's greatest source of intelligence on their new enemies. The crew, once mocked for serving on such an old vessel, now found themselves at the forefront of humanity's defense. Tom's voice came through one last time before they moved into position. Captain, I should mention, every time we absorb new technology, the ship's capabilities become harder to predict. We're in uncharted territory here. James watched the Dominion ship grow larger on their screen. Good, he replied. I like unpredictable. It's about time someone surprised them for a change. The Dominion patrol ship never saw them coming. The Firefly slipped between two massive asteroids, its hull painted with light-absorbing coating that made it nearly invisible against the dark rocks. James watched from the bridge as they drew closer to their target, close enough now to see the alien writing etched into its hull. All systems ready, Tom reported from engineering. The core is already reacting to their energy signatures. It's like it remembers them from the last battle. Susan's fingers moved with delicate precision over her console, guiding their ship through the debris field. One wrong move would send them crashing into the rocky masses surrounding them, but she navigated the chaos like she was born to it. We'll have one shot at this, James reminded his crew. Once we engage, every Dominion ship in the system will know where we are. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance at understanding the enemy's technology. They would get close enough for the Firefly's adaptive systems to absorb and analyze the Dominion ship's active scanning beams, relatively weak energy emissions that wouldn't immediately alert the patrol to their presence. In position, Susan whispered, though there was no real need for quiet in space. James took a deep breath. Tom, begin passage scanning. Anna, record everything. The Firefly's cobbled-together sensors reached out invisibly, tasting the edges of the Dominion ship's energy field. Data began flowing into their systems, and the power core hummed with growing intensity. This is incredible. Anna's voice was filled with wonder. Their scanning technology, it's not just looking for ships. They're searching for specific energy signatures. They're hunting us, Captain. They want to know how we survived their weapons. A sudden alarm blared through the bridge. They've spotted us. Mike called out. Their weapons are powering up. Hold position, James ordered, even as his instincts screamed at him to retreat. Tom, how much more data do you need? 30 seconds. Tom's fingers flew across his engineering controls. The core is adapting faster than ever. It's not just learning their scan patterns, it's improving them. The Dominion ship turned ponderously toward them, its weapon ports beginning to glow with that familiar deadly energy. But James noticed something different this time. The energy signature wasn't quite the same as before. "They've modified their weapons," Anna reported, confirming his suspicion. "They're trying to counter our absorption ability." James allowed himself a small smile. "They're afraid of us. The mighty Dominion is afraid of the fleet's garbage SCO." He keyed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, prepare for close combat. Susan, on my mark, take us right at them." "Sir." Susan's voice held equal parts excitement and concern. "You want to charge a Dominion warship?" "That's exactly what I want to do." "Tom, how's the Corps holding up?" "Better than ever, Captain. Whatever changes they made to their weapons, our systems are already adapting. The more they throw at us, the more we learn." The Dominion ship fired, its modified energy beam lancing out through space. Instead of trying to dodge, Susan kept them on course, flying straight into it at James's command. The impact shook the entire ship, but the familiar hum of the power core grew stronger. Warning lights flashed across every console, then began turning green one by one as their systems absorbed and adapted to the new energy pattern. "Got it," Tom shouted triumphantly. "Their modifications actually made it easier for us to understand their technology. The Corps is—" "Wait." His voice trailed off in surprise. "Captain, we're not just absorbing their energy anymore. We're redirecting it, amplifying it." James watched as new tactical options appeared on his display. Their jury-rigged weapon systems had integrated the Dominion's technology and were offering firing solutions he'd never seen before. "Multiple Dominion ships entering the area," Mike reported tensely. "They're surrounding us." "Good," James replied, surprising his crew. "That's exactly what we want. Tom, Anna, show me what this ship can really do." The Firefly's power core pulsed with newly absorbed energy, sending waves of power through systems that had never been designed to handle such forces. But instead of overloading, the mismatched technologies worked together in ways their original designers would have thought impossible. Beams of energy shot out from the Firefly's maintenance arrays, each one carrying a different modification of the Dominion's own weapon signature. Where a single energy pattern might have been blocked, this constantly shifting assault overwhelmed their defenses. "It's working," Anna exclaimed. "Their shields can't adapt fast enough to our variations. We're actually forcing them to fall back." James watched as the mighty Dominion ships, each one large enough to carry 100 Fireflies, began to retreat from their tiny vessel. The impossible was happening. Humanity's oldest, weakest ship was driving back the most powerful enemy they'd ever encountered. "Signal coming in from Fleet Command," Mike announced. "They're tracking multiple Dominion vessels breaking orbit and retreating from human space. Whatever we're doing, it's scaring them off." The bridge crew cheered, but James kept his focus on the tactical display. "Send everything we've learned to command. They need to understand what we've discovered about their technology." He turned to his crew, "And we need to prepare for what comes next. The Dominion won't take this humiliation lightly. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Let them come." Tom's voice was filled with confidence. "Every time they hit us, every weapon they use against us, just makes us stronger. The Firefly learns and adapts. And now we can teach the rest of the fleet to do the same." James nodded, looking out at the retreating Dominion ships. Their victory today was significant, but he knew it was only the beginning. The real battle was still to come. But for the first time since the alien ships had appeared in their space, he felt true hope. The Firefly, once mocked as the weakest ship in the fleet, had become something entirely new. A constantly evolving weapon that turned the enemy's strength against them. And as the crew celebrated their victory, James couldn't help but wonder what other surprises their old ship had in store for them. "Plot a course back to Fleet Command," he ordered. "It's time to show them exactly what the fleet's weakest ship can do. And then," he smiled at his crew, "then we're going hunting." The war room of Fleet Command fell silent as James finished his presentation. Admiral Wilson stood at the head of the table, staring at the holographic display showing the Firefly's modified systems. Around him, other high-ranking officers exchanged looks of disbelief and hope. "Let me get this straight, Captain Miller," the Admiral said slowly. "Your outdated support vessel has not only survived multiple encounters with Dominion forces, but has actually learned to improve upon their technology." "That's correct, sir." James gestured to Tom and Anna, who stood beside him. "Our engineers and science team have confirmed it. The Firefly's mismatched systems created something unprecedented, a ship that adapts and evolves with each engagement." Commander Richards, now commanding a smaller vessel after the loss of the Thunder, leaned forward. "And you believe we can replicate this technology?" "Better than that." Tom stepped in, unable to contain his excitement. "We can teach it. The Firefly's core has mapped out how different technologies can work together. We can use that knowledge to modify other ships in the fleet." The room erupted in discussion, but a sudden alert cut through the noise. Multiple Dominion signatures detected. A young officer called out, "Largest fleet yet. They're on an attack vector for Earth." Admiral Wilson turned to James. "How long would it take to modify our remaining ships with your technology?" "Too long," James replied grimly. "But we have another option. The Firefly can act as a shield for the fleet. Our adaptive systems can protect other ships while they engage the enemy. We just need them to follow our lead." The Admiral studied the tactical display showing the approaching Dominion armada. Hundreds of ships, far more than their previous encounters. After a long moment, he nodded. "Do it. The fleet is yours to command, Captain Miller." Within hours, the Firefly led a formation of human ships out to meet the Dominion fleet. James stood on his bridge, watching as the massive alien vessels emerged from FTL. Their weapons were already charging, filling space with ominous energy readings. "They've upgraded their weapons again," Anna reported from her station. "The energy signatures are more complex than before." "Good," James replied. "The more complex their technology, the more our systems can learn from it. Susan, move us to the front of the formation. Tom, prepare to extend our adaptive field around the nearest ships." The Firefly's power core hummed with energy as they took position. Behind them, the remaining ships of the human fleet fell into formation, trusting their lives to the protection of what had once been their weakest vessel. The Dominion fleet opened fire, filling space with devastatingly powerful energy beams. But as each blast struck the Firefly's defensive field, its systems adapted and evolved. The energy was absorbed, analyzed, and redirected, creating a protective barrier that extended to nearby ships. "It's working," Tom called out excitedly. "The core is processing their weapons faster than ever. Each shot makes our defenses stronger." James watched as the Dominion fleet's initial assault proved ineffective. "Signal the fleet to begin their attack run. Focus fire on any target we designate." He turned to Anna. "Find me their weakest points." The battle that followed would be remembered as one of the most extraordinary in human history. The Firefly darted through the Dominion formation, its constantly evolving defenses protecting nearby human ships, while its modified systems turned the aliens' own weapons against them. Where the Dominion expected to find a weak and primitive fleet, they instead faced an enemy that grew stronger with every attack. Their superior technology, which had served them across countless conquests, was being analyzed, adapted, and improved upon in real time. "Their flagship is changing course," Mike reported. "They're trying to regroup." James allowed himself a small smile. "Not this time. Susan, take us straight at their command ship. Tom, give me everything the core has learned about their weapons. Let's show them what human ingenuity can really do." The Firefly accelerated toward the massive Dominion flagship, its systems now humming with power that would have been impossible for such an old vessel just weeks ago. Energy collectors that had once been simple maintenance beams now pulsed with improved versions of Dominion technology. As they closed in, the alien vessel fired everything it had at them. But each blast was caught, analyzed, and transformed by the Firefly's adaptive systems. The energy was refined, improved, and sent back with devastating effect. "Their shields are failing," Anna announced triumphantly. "The modifications we made to their weapons, they can't defend against them." James keyed the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, concentrate fire on the flagship's exposed sections. Time to end this." The combined firepower of the human fleet, led by the Firefly's enhanced weapons, tore through the Dominion flagship's weakened defenses. Secondary explosions rippled along its massive hull as critical systems failed. "They're sending out a general retreat signal," Mike reported, his voice filled with disbelief. "The entire Dominion fleet. They're running." The bridge crew watched as the mighty alien armada broke formation and fled, their supposedly invincible ships running from the fleet they had come to conquer. As the last Dominion vessel disappeared into FTL, cheers erupted across all channels. Admiral Wilson's voice came through the comm. "Outstanding work, Captain Miller. You've just changed the course of human history. The Firefly will go down in history as the ship that saved Earth." James looked around at his proud crew. "Thank you, Admiral, but it wasn't just the ship. It was every repair we made, every modification we jury-rigged, every time we had to make do with whatever parts we could find. We won because we never stopped adapting." In the days that followed, the Firefly's unique technology began to be incorporated into other ships of the fleet. The vessel that had once been mocked as a garbage scow became the template for a new generation of adaptive warships. But none would ever quite match the original. The Firefly, with its decades of patches and repairs, its mismatched systems, and constantly evolving core, remained unique, a testament to human resourcefulness and the power of making the best of what you have. James stood in engineering with Tom and Anna, looking at the now famous power core. "You know what the real irony is," he mused. "If we'd had a newer ship or better equipment or proper replacement parts, none of this would have happened. We won because we were the weakest ship in the fleet." Tom patted the core's housing affectionately. "Just goes to show, sometimes the best weapons are the ones you never knew you had." The Firefly's systems hummed contentedly around them, still learning, still adapting, still evolving. The weakest ship in the fleet had become the strongest weapon humanity had ever known, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the very qualities that had once made it an object of ridicule. And somewhere out in space, the Dominion fleet carried word back to their empire about the humans, a species whose greatest strength lay in their ability to turn weakness into power, and whose most dangerous weapon was a ship held together by ingenuity, determination, and whatever spare parts they could find.